Anybody who's been following me lately, then you know that I have been volunteering time in the juvenile correction centers with the youth. These are for kids 17 and under who are too young to go to prison and be tried as adults. So I've been getting a lot of comments and just people mentioning how cool it was to go in there and so on and so forth. But I really want to touch on the issues, and I want to open up a conversation to hopefully get solutions and be a voice for them, because we've never heard their side. We never heard their thought pattern. We never heard how they felt would encourage them to make their decisions or continue to make their decisions. So I had that open dialogue with them, and I've been having that, and that to me has helped me come up with one solution that can help, that myself, Cream, and For the Love of Arts will be implementing. But I want to talk about the kids, and I want to talk about what they told me and some of the things that we talked about during those meetings. So right off back, when you meet with the kids, is we all commonly want one thing for them, the same thing, right? We want them to make better decisions and have hope for a future, and to get on the right path and have a renewing of the mind so that they can be a productive citizen and, get on with their lives. What I found surprising was that a lot of them choose to be there, and a lot of them choose to come back. I forget the number, but there was a high percentage of juveniles who leave that center and return back. And it's not always just bad judgment. A lot of them want to go back. And the reasons, when I asked them the reasons why, it just it shocked me. It made sense as well. So one of the main reasons was they had nowhere to go. So they're under 17. These are not people who can get out and get jobs, so on and so forth. And sometimes they don't have a family to go to. Sometimes the family is fed up with them, or, whatever the case may be. And if they're older or they have a history of behavioral problems, then it's not going to be easy for them to get placed into a foster home. So where can they guarantee that they can lay their head somewhere at night and have a meal? They end up right back in there. So to me, I found to tell them to have a future, it was easier said than done, to be honest. And so I don't believe there's one solution. I believe there's many solutions, but from the few sessions I've had, I want to talk about what I've talked to them about and some things that I'm going to do to help, and how you can help as well. And I'd like you to join in on the conversation if you have any experience or anything. But my ultimate goal is for the kids to leave there and go pursue something, pursue a career in something, pursue self-improvement, and decide not to go back. These classes are ran by Sade Castillo, and she's from the Love of Arts, which is an arts program that teaches arts to at-risk youth, whether it be in schools, juvies, in the area, churches, whatever it be. And on that specific day, she asked me to go in and talk about goals with them. So when I asked them what goals were, they were very competent. They fully understood what it was. They fully understood right from wrong. And I was actually shocked to hear some of their goals. So I have it written down. It's right here. Okay. All right, so some of the questions we asked was on what is a goal, when is the time you set and achieve the goal, and what are your current goals? And then we talked about short-term and long-term goals, and what are the steps you will take to achieve your goals. So right off back, it was kind of hard to talk with the kids at first, but with me being younger and closer to age, I pretty much understood the lingo. I knew I was able to ask them where they were from. They were from certain parts of Chicago. I understood the area, and I could understand the context. So it did take a while to get them to open up, but we managed to do that in only a 2-hour session. And this is it's only been my third session with them. So one of the kids, and I'll keep them anonymous because the prisons have they have high security measures. So all of these people will be anonymous. On this day, we only had 7 people in there. The class sizes vary because they only get to go if they've been behaving well. So the attendance has been going up. There has been more and more kids since I've been there showing up and re-showing up. And often you don't get to see the same kid twice, or you might see a kid and he's only a few weeks or days, he or she, from being released, and then months later they'll end up back. One of them said that he wanted to get into real estate investment. Well, specifically, he said generational wealth. I asked him what was a goal. So what I asked them was, if you had a goal or a dream and it can be given to you overnight with no work put in, you can just have it tomorrow. No limitations. Sky's the limit. How would your life look if it could be perfect? And of course, I'll talk to them about the work it takes to get into the goals. But first, I wanted to see if their minds, where their minds went when a limit wasn't placed on it. And then I want to go and work on removing those limits with steps. So the first one, he said, generational wealth. This is a kid from the South Side of Chicago. I think he was 17 years old. He said he wants generational wealth and he wants to bring some of his friends back. So he's lost a lot of friends to gun violence. And when we dug deeper, I said, how do we achieve this? And he knew real estate and making investments in the stock market. And that's what he wanted to get into. Another kid, he just said he wanted to be an entrepreneur. Another guy said he wanted to be the best that he could possibly be. So what I would do is when they told me what they wanted as a goal, I would give them the words so that they can look it up and begin to study it, because they have a library. So and he said, he wants generational wealth, financial literacy, and different financial terms. I told him just write down all of these words, write down what, return on investment, or what all of these different things mean. So that way, instead of just wanting it, he can look, he knows where to look, because if he knows the words, he knows what books to grab. The other guy just said he wants to just be a successful CEO of his own and multiple businesses, an entrepreneur, of course. One guy said he wanted to be the best that he could possibly be, and self-growth. Another guy said retail businesses. Another guy said change for the youth. Now, this was a 17-year-old who had a son, and his thing for the most part was is he felt that the youth are put at a disadvantage, and he wants to turn his life around so that he can go and help and make changes within the juvenile center. The entire time there, he complained about the food. He complained about a lot. He was trying to practice his faith, but they brought him pork to eat, and he didn't eat it. And it was just different stuff like that he felt can be different. I explained to him that there are people who make those decisions, but those are people who go through processes and have degrees, certifications, etc., so that they can get the jobs to make those decisions. So walk him through one way exactly how he can do that. So he basically, he said he was open to learning about studying law and whatever, it was he had to do to get into that. Another kid said he wants to work on spiritual gifts. So basically what he said is he wanted to be like Kanye and bring visions to life. This is what he said. And if anyone doesn't know Kanye, he's more than a rapper, a producer. He's into fashion and has been very successful at it. And even technology now. He's had a successful technology business. He owns a lot of real estate and property. Kanye is now a billionaire, for those who don't know. He's done well for himself, but it wasn't necessarily off of knowing what each of those industries were about. They were specifically based on the fact that he had a gift, and he was able to use that gift to break down whatever wall he wanted in different sectors. So when this kid said he just wants to, first he said he wants to make 100 million. And I said, well, how do you do that? Then we broke the conversation down into working on those gifts, those God-given gifts, those spiritual gifts. The last guy said that he wanted to be a rapper and he wanted to make music. So I encourage him to dig deeper into music creation, understanding melodic structures, understanding notes, keys, measure, and breaking it down to a scientific level so that you can be more advanced, building your own home studio and learning how to make something of professional quality so you can save money, rent it out, so on and so forth. Just jogging their mind so that the answer that they gave was like, I want to be a rapper. It's not like I don't want them to feel that it was out of reach. I wanted to let them know that if you learn A, B, and C and you work and do A, B, and C, you can accomplish that. So one of my offered solutions to help these kids develop goals. I explained to them that your goals pretty much determine where you're going to go. And I did explain to them that once you decide to follow a goal, it doesn't necessarily become peaches and cream and flowers and daisies from there. I talked to them about the mental battle that you're going to face regardless if you're doing good or bad, and encourage them to not be discouraged by that when they're trying to chase their goals. So what I've decided to do, I asked them how I could help them. And basically, since it is a prison, it's very secure, of course. There's only thing they can do is read books, go to a library. So they have these classes now. We can come to the classes and we can bring them equipment. I brought my drone and my camera for them to play with, but we're still limited. There's only so much we can do. So I told them the least you can do while you're here is read up on things that you can begin to implement now and work on and take the necessary steps when you're out. I wanted to start bringing them books. So basically, each one of them, when they talked about their goals and what they wanted to do, I wanted to give them a book so that they can study, read, and learn about whatever that specific goal is. And I told them, it could change, it could shift, but understanding how to tackle the steps to achieve that goal. And I told them that'll keep you focused, that'll keep you, out of trouble. I reminded them that you might have friends who might feel a certain way because, you don't want to hang out no more. Now, you just want to read or whatever it be. And I gave them that rundown as well. And they pretty much understood it. They interpreted it well. So for the kid, I won't say his name, but he said he wanted to change the youth, right? So I'm going to give him a book, right? Some law books. I want to give some books on real estate, investments in stocks, being an entrepreneur, self-growth. They asked a lot about scriptures. And for me, I'm going to give them some Bibles, but it is difficult. Anybody, even a student of the Bible, knows it's like reading a foreign language. So I want to find books that introduce it to them in a new way, from a new angle. More than just the Bible, something, an explainer with it. So if you have any recommendations in that area, drop them, send me books, just connect with me and we'll get these kids these books. So what I'm going to do is when I meet with these kids once a month, and if the schedule permits, I'm going to up my visitation hours. Nonetheless, for the love of arts, they do this every single weekend. But when I meet with the kids, I have a 2-hour class, and I want to break it up from not only teach them the filmmaking and photography and all the other good stuff. I want to do book club. So during this book club, we're allowed to bring them food. So they don't eat too well. And they had a lot of complaints about, the way they eat in there. And at least for the book club, since they can only show up because if they have good behavior, to have a nice meal there as an incentive, just the nice platter, just something nice and classy, not like typical, just accustom them to something different, just kind of take them out of the world of prison, at least for that hour. Cheese, crackers, and presentation goes a long way. In addition to the lunch, I want them to talk about the books that they received and how they're doing, and just update on the goal, and just let them vent about different stuff that they learn. A big part of what I'm doing is letting them vent. Often they walk themselves right into their solution if you just let them talk. So I've begun to do that, and I want to give them the books and let them talk about them each way. So I've cleared my bookshelf. My bookshelf's behind me. So I've cleared that out, and pretty much I do audiobooks. I do read often, but I choose to do audiobooks. So the amount of physical books I have at home are rare. I do want to go and purchase more. So the contributions for our crowdfunding campaign that we currently have running for Cream Live, I'm taking some of those proceeds to be able to provide lunches and to be able to purchase new books that cater directly towards the kids and the type of conversations. If they're talking about depression, there should be books in there that they can pick up and read to guide them through that. Their problem is what's at home or the trauma, or that library should be a place where they can not just pick up a fictional, like Junie B. Jones or something like that, but pick up a book and essentially like have someone talk to them specifically about what they have going on or what they want. All right. So these just the ones I had in my house. So I left the meeting today and I immediately just took what I had. So I definitely want to get more, but they talked about real estate and investment. So this is a book called Flip and Grow Rich, and it's about that. They asked a lot of questions because they were interested in my success. They heard about me beforehand, and I do not talk about my success or anything at all without mentioning my faith. So that, of course, turned into a lot of questions, but they asked very good questions. They asked theological questions. And I have this book called Unusual Prophecies Being Fulfilled, and this is by Perry Stone. So books like these that kind of tackle a different perspective. It's not easy for everybody to believe. For me personally, I believe that even if you believe your whole life, you're going to enter a different realm of belief when life begins to life, when it begins to do what it do. The way I believe now is not the way I believed last year, let alone a month ago. I'm constantly growing. So these books are going to be important. This one is called Business Secrets from the Bible. This book basically talks about good business practices in correlation to scriptures. And it's excellent. It's written by a Jewish rabbi named Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And, I absolutely love that book. We have a Malcolm X book. One of the kids talked about self-growth. Some of this book was written while he was incarcerated, and that's part of his testimony, his incarceration. So that is an awesome book. In addition to that, I have this one. This is called Inside a Thug's Heart. And my brother actually gave me this book when I was younger because I was used to like the Hit 'Em Up Tupac, and I didn't hear much because I was young. He was long gone by the time I heard of who he was, but my brother told me there was another side to Pac, and he gave me this book, Inside a Thug's Hearts. These are original poems and letters written by Tupac Shakur while he was incarcerated in prison. So this is, to me, is dope. The kid who said he wanted to be a rapper, this is dope. Just thought-provoking, and just to see one of the greatest rappers of all time and another layer he had. This one is by Gary Vee. It's called How Great Entrepreneurs Build Their Business and Influence, and it's called Crushing It. So that's something interesting that they might be able to pick up and learn. One of them said, entrepreneur, say he wants to own multiple businesses. And this one is called The Intelligent Investor. So this is written by Warren Buffett. Anybody who's ever thought about investment or thought about stock market, you've definitely heard of this book, and I think it'll be a great book for them to have. And then this right here, this book was actually given to me by my father. This is called the Black Laws Dictionary, and it's just a law book, just going through different terminologies and whatnot, some that you don't get taught. When my father gave me this, he said it's to understand your rights, basically, and I think that would be good for them. And for the young man who told me that he wanted to look into law. So if you'd like the help, you can donate books, you can recommend books, and I'll go buy them myself. All contributions from our crowdfunding campaign are going towards this. I'm going to spend the money regardless. I'm going to provide the books, the lunch, so on and so forth regardless. If you'd like to help donate books or donate money or suggest books, or even jump in the comment section and open up dialogue and ask questions about things you want to find out. But I do feel the least we can do to help these kids is begin to start the conversation, because often in the prison education and plenty systems, we see that what was set up to work isn't working anymore. And a lot of them say, and they agree with Tupac. Tupac actually said prison is supposed to be rehabilitation. And while you're in there, you're only getting angrier and angrier. And one of the other kids pretty much said the exact same thing. So I just want to just get around the kids, let them vent to me, just learn and just kind of understand how they think and understand what practical ways, how can we talk to them, what resources can we give them. The goal for me has been to reach one. Before going into this, had a lot of conversations with people who had experience in this field. And the unfortunate part is when you go to do this type of work, realistically, you can't save everybody. You're only going to get, a few of those, but reach one, teach one. If one kid can get out there and say, man, I read a book about real estate and I got out and I started to find my way, find my way to it, or, so on and so forth, whatever the case may be. If from sitting and having that lunch with them and exposing them to a different layer of thinking and a change of mindset, I'm hoping that I can just kind of figure out what we can do better, what the prisons can do better, what everyone can do better, and what can be taught and implemented in juvenile centers across the country. And what can we figure out? What can we see that's working and that isn't working? How can we prevent kids from being in these circumstances? But there's just nothing and nobody talking about these kids. There's been shows made about it, but not necessarily with a genuine intent to help the kids, to turn the kids, life around. Maybe some to make them, an entertainment stock, but they don't have a voice. They can't get on camera. They can't get on social media. We can't interview them. So I want to be that voice for them. I want to understand how they're feeling. I want to help them articulate that, and I want to create a change in the dynamic and a example for how to deal with these kids, how to get them to turn their lives around, and how to make sure that once they leave juvenile correction, that they don't return. So here's 3 ways you can help. The best way to help is going to be by sharing this. Sharing is going to get the conversation started, and from there we're going to come along across a lot of solutions, resources, and we're going to be able to figure out and understand a lot together. The second way you can is to contribute to our current crowdfunding campaign. We are spending the money on the lunch and the books regardless, but anything that the campaign is making or that Korean Shows is making, we will be donating back into it regardless. So your donation and contribution will help make that even better. The third way you can help is by sending or recommending books. Anything that helps with those subjects, anything you feel like if a kid were to pick it up and read it, the words will jump out on the page and reach to them. I encourage all types of books. It's the only thing they can do is read those books. If you don't want to get the book and send it, you can tell me the book and I'll go buy the book myself. I'll take out the budget and I'll go buy it or suggest a book.